Hey everyone, I'm Rob, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this cutting board right here with these exotic woods for under $50. So stick around because this build starts right now. So let's get this build started. I was at my local lumber store and they came out with these cutting board kits, and I paid $40 for this cutting board kit. What I really loved about it was the fact that I get beautiful woods like Purple Heart and Bubinga, and I don't have to buy 8-foot lengths of them. Now, they are a little more expensive per cutting board, but I would rather buy several different cutting boards, and I bought a bunch of them. And this way I didn't have to buy 10 different species of 8-foot long boards and start putting them all together. So all I got to do now is glue them together, clamp them together, and then finish them off, and I got a beautiful cutting board. So without further ado, let's get this started.
Without a doubt, the most important decision you're going to make in this project is what type of glue to use. For me, I only use one type of glue that I know 100% will work every time, and that's Titebond 3. Titebond 3 is food safe and water resistant. And let me tell you, once you get that glue on and put two pieces of wood together, they're never coming apart again. I guarantee that. And you want to make sure you're generous with the glue. You want to make sure that every square inch of it is covered so that this way there is no way any water can penetrate between those pieces of wood and cause any issues. Next, we're going to start clamping everything together. And there's a few things to know here. One is you want to make sure that when you tighten your cutting board, you don't squeeze it too much. We want to leave that glue in between each piece of wood, so just snug. And two, we got to put on what are called cawls. And these cawls are put on the ends at the top and bottom of the cutting board. And what this does is it prevents the actual cutting board from shifting up and down in the center pieces. Because believe it or not, glue is actually a good lubricant when it's wet. And just one more piece of advice. As you can see, my clamps are on the bottom of the wood. 2 are on the bottom, and I'll put 2 on top. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're squeezing the board evenly on the top and on the bottom. This will ensure a good glue up.
1 hour later.
So after an hour, I go back to the cutting board and I take a chisel and I start scraping off any of the glue that has squeezed out through the cracks.
The next day.
24 hours later, I'll come back and start removing all the clamps and the cawls. And I'm going to give it a light sanding. I want to make sure I take off any glue and ensure the board is flat and ready to be planed. Now, if you don't have a planer, you're going to continue sanding, and what you want to do is make sure you sand the board nice and flat. As for me, I'm going to pass it through my planer, and I'm going to ensure that the board is nice and flat and ready to be sanded, and have the ends cut off so that they're nice and square. So here I am with my chop saw, and I'm just making sure that the ends are nice and straight and ready for me to router the sides. For this cutting board, I decided to do a chamfer instead of a round over because I believe the chamfer has a much more modern look. What do you think? And with sanding, like always, up and down overlapping 50% and side to side overlapping 50%, not moving more than 1 inch per second. That will ensure a nice flat board and no swirl marks in your wood. Next, I thought I'd have a little fun with my laser engraver, and I engraved my family name into the board. What I decided I was going to do is I was going to use one side as a cutting board and the other side as a charcuterie board with, of course, my family name in the bottom. Check it out. What do you think? If you've made it this far through the video, I'm hoping that you're getting some good information and tips on how to make your own board just like this one. And if you are, I really would appreciate if you can hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help a new YouTuber like me out. I'm really trying to pass on all these tips and tricks and hopefully inspire someone to make their own cutting board. Well, there it is. What do you think of that laser engrave? I must admit, I think it came out really good. Now the last sanding. This is 240 sandpaper, and to be honest, I already did sand it with 240, but once I did that laser engrave, I just wanted to pass the sander over it one more time to ensure it was perfect. Now, after I did that, I did raise the grain one more time. I wet it with some water and did another quick sand just to ensure that when this board gets wet in the future, I don't have anything to worry about. The final step, oiling the board down and bringing out all those beautiful colors. This is my favorite part of the whole build, let me tell you. When you see that, the purple heart, the purple come out, and I know the colors aren't great on the monitor so you don't see it well, and the bubinga, that red in the bubinga, it's just incredible. You really gotta see it. At this point, I'll wait 10 or 15 minutes and then give it the final rub down to remove all excess oil that doesn't need to be there. There it is. What do you think? If you're interested in having me make you a charcuterie board or a cutting board, maybe laser engraving something in it, a name or some family logo, please feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to do it for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in future videos.